Recording in progress. That means you are here for episode 2 of LYLAS. What's up?
Season 1, episode 2. We're back at it.
That's right. And so if you're listening again and you know what LYLAS stands for, you found your podcast.
That's right.
You found your place. And just to kind of reintroduce ourselves and what we are here to do, briefly, if you know what that means, this is for you. We're looking for those 35 to 45 ish who are moms, women, people that are in transition that are also looking to kind of find themselves, your place and space in life, and trying to figure out this whole mental health thing. Like we were just kind of talking about this. It's like mental health loading was what you called it.
I did. Yeah.
Mhm.
Because we're all kind of in that struggle. It's just we want to talk about it and we want to hopefully bring some support to women, not just women, men too, but bring some support, but also just talk about things and let's normalize things, even though I feel like we've been saying that for like the last 20 years, but it's
Mhm.
still almost taboo to really talk about, oh, I struggle with this mental health issue.
Mhm. Well, and a cool piece that we think that makes us unique that we can kind of bring to this is we've been besties since middle school and we're 40. So, that's awesome. Um,
Right?
so what up? But we're also psychologists and maybe from different fields of psychology, but for us to be talking about our own mental health, our own um kind of journey through life and the fact that we're a point in creation, we're a point in transition, I think is a nice twist to other podcasts you may be listening to. And it may help to just kind of make it more relatable. Like Jen said, just normalize things a bit.
Yes, we are literally figuring this out as we go.
Hmm.
And yeah, I'm excited to delve into this a little bit more. We've been talking about that mom balance, that kind of like
Hmm.
juggling act. And I'll say that for me, my mom balance kind of just started to crack or actually just fall apart back in September of 2020. And at that time, certainly we were in the middle of a pandemic, but I, when I say it kind of came out of left field, it really did because at that point, the pandemic had been fairly easy for us. I mean,
Hmm.
for my personal family, we were still going on vacations. We didn't know anybody that had had COVID. We had hunkered down. I had had more time with my kids. Certainly, working from home presented its challenges at times, with two adults trying to work from home. But ultimately, I would say that we were handling it very well
Hmm.
and sort of rolling with it and enjoying that time with our kids that we knew that we would never get back. We had small children. And so I say all that to say that there wasn't like something that happened and I started to experience panic attacks. They literally smacked me upside the head one day in middle September. And for me, just to give kind of an idea of what panic attacks, because I know people kind of throw that term around a
Hmm.
lot. But for me, they were very specific in how they always started the same way. So I would always start with my heart rate would start to go up, and I'd get that nice little ding on my watch, and it would say, "Hey, your heart rate's going up. What are you doing? You're not working out." And I could literally lie down and it would get up to like 180, 190 beats per minute. And I would start sweating and my, my chest felt really heavy, almost like something like
Hmm.
an elephant was sitting on my chest and I couldn't breathe. And I remember telling my husband, like, I can't breathe. I don't know what's wrong. It's like I forgot how to breathe. But I literally like couldn't take a deep breath
Wow.
when this was going on. And and so then my mind would start with just the repetitive thoughts. And sometimes it was like, oh, you're dying, you're having a heart attack. This is what it feels like. And sometimes it was hyper focused on something else completely out of my control.
Hmm.
And it just changed from day to day. But it was like these cycle of thoughts that I couldn't stop thinking about. I mean, it was literally torture. Um, and And at first I thought, okay, well, maybe I actually have like a heart issue because I do have a parent that my father passed away at 59 from a heart attack, and heart disease runs in our family. And so I thought, well, maybe there's actually something wrong. And then about 2 weeks of experiencing these, I knew they were panic attacks. Um, I knew enough about panic disorder or anxiety,
Mhm.
and that I knew that that's what I was experiencing at this point. Um, and so they quickly it started to increase in intensity and frequency and duration, and they were starting to happen everywhere. They were happening at work, they were happening in the car, they were happening in meetings, they were happening,
Mhm.
when I was kids. I mean, it didn't they were I was even waking up in the middle of the night in the middle of one, or starting, to have one. And so it
Wow.
really started to start quickly. And I think that's so important because even as a mental health
Mhm.
professional, I didn't help. Like, I knew what it was. At that point, I was fairly certain. And I still thought, okay, I can control this. Let me use the tools that I have available to me and let me see what I can do.
Right.
And so I would, meditate. Nope. Once the cycle started, nope, not happening.
No, ma'am.
And then, go for a walk, try a distraction. Nope. Sometimes I could sort of curtail it for a little bit, but they would always kind of set back in,
Mhm.
back home if I went for a walk or something like that. So that really wasn't being effective for me. And then I remember just as clear as day, one day I came home from work and it was in the middle of a panic attack. It had started while I was driving home, and I picked up the kids, and I get home and I walk through the door, and Jeff takes one look at me and gets off the phone call he's on. He's like, my wife needs me. And, super
Aw.
dads, was able to swoop in. He cooked dinner. He took him to the park. He cooked dinner. He did bath. He did
Mhm.
that. He did all the things. And then he came in, and I just looked at him and I said, I would rather die than live like this.
Oh
Like,
my gosh. That just gave me chills to hear you say that. Like, literally. Oh, wow. Mhm.
well, but I mean, it's so true. I was either experiencing a panic attack,
Mhm.
recovering from one because I was so physically and emotionally exhausted after them, or waiting for the next one to start. And so I was literally on this like Ferris wheel of hell that I couldn't get off.
Mhm.
And he looked at me and he said, okay, are you ready to go see somebody?
Mhm.
And lucky enough that we were able to have the resources for me to get in and get
Mhm.
quickly. But I think that just it goes to show that like anyone can experience these things, and even you can have all of these degrees and know what you're supposed to do.
Mhm.
But it's really once you're in it, and you don't know. I didn't even have time to think about, oh, maybe I should schedule a meeting. I was just constantly in
Mhm.
a state of disarray and not thinking clearly. When you're not sleeping, and that has such an impact on your mental health,
Yeah.
not thinking clearly. And so lucky for me, I was able to get referred to somebody who kind of specialized in anxiety, and quickly got on
Mhm.
this medication. And I remember walking out to my car and sitting in my car and just sobbing after that appointment because I finally had a plan to make them stop. And I
Mhm.
knew I was going to get off the Ferris wheel at that point. One way or another, I was going to be, off the Ferris wheel. And I felt such relief. And
Mhm.
continued on medication. We tried a few different ones, different side effects and things. It took a while to kind of find the right dose and the right medication for me, but I was able to finally come to a really good kind of like regimen,
Mhm.
and had one since. And, I've implemented some other things in my life since then. I don't take the medication anymore. I kind
Mhm.
of myself off of it in June of this year. But and not to say I wouldn't go back on it, because certainly if they ever came back, I would be the first in line at the doctor's office. But it just wasn't my goal to be on anything long term,
Mhm.
and I wanted to eventually kind of like work myself off of them, and so I've been able to do that with some of the other things that I've implemented. But I did take a real good look at my life and go, okay, what is causing all of this stress, and how am I managing it? Because I've always thought
Mhm.
I was pretty good at stress management.
Mhm.
Out every day, I eat healthy, I have a solid friend support group. I mean, all the things that kind of ticked all those boxes. So it made me sort of look closer at relationships and my job and make some changes, some pretty radical changes. So I'm sure that we will get into more of that. But I just wanted to say, even from my perspective of having, pretty good understanding of psychopathology, it still literally like slapped me upside the head one day. And I think that that is just really important for people to understand that it happens to everyone and that there's nothing to be ashamed of. And, that there is the right support out there, and it's so I could easily see how if I didn't get support, how that could have gotten bad very quickly. And having never struggled with depression or anything like that, it's hard to understand it until you're in that, and then you're like, wow, this isn't much of a life, quite frankly. Even if you have all the things and all the things that we think we need and we want, it still isn't quite a life when your mental health is not in check or is not
Yeah.
functioning properly.
Well, and I think one of the things that you said that is so important and I hope resonates with people is, yeah, we have mental health training, we have degrees, we have countless hours of education and training, but that does not make anybody immune.
Mm-mm. No, it's a daily struggle. I mean, I've always said I kind of run anxious. I think anxiety is healthy in a lot of ways. I
Mhm.
mean, it makes us do things, it motivates us a lot of times. But when it starts to impact your life and you can't function, then it's a
Mhm.
problem. It's like anything. When it starts to impact your life, it's a problem.
Well, I was
But
just like, whenever you were talking about this, the thing that struck me the most, and I mean, just to even hear you say it, whenever you said it, I got chills, but it was like whatever you were like, I just can't live like this. I mean, the despair, I don't even like just being so scared in that one moment.
absolutely. And I think if I mean, like what we all see on social media or what we present to the world, if you knew me, like Sarah,
Mhm.
a lot of people knew me, you would never, you would think, well, what does she have to be anxious about?
Well,
what does she have, what are her problems? Because from the outside looking in, everything's pretty perfect. I mean, not perfect, but for me, it is. I mean, I'm very happy, very
yeah.
content. But that doesn't matter. That
Mm-mm.
doesn't that doesn't, determine your mental health, I guess, in the end.
Right.
You can have all the things. And a chemical imbalance is a chemical imbalance and it doesn't, it can strike anyone. So
Mhm. Mhm.
just, it still seems so taboo to talk about, which is really frustrating because it feels like for so long we've been saying, let's remove the stigma attached to mental health and
Mhm.
acknowledge it. And we're still here with people, you know, still afraid to say it out loud or still afraid to seek help or to admit that they're struggling with something.
Mhm. Yeah, and I don't know exactly what it's gonna take for our society in particular to kind of, like, really break down that barrier. Sometimes I feel like it's happening, and then other times I'm like, "Oh, well, apparently not."
Right.
But I think it's starting these discussions, and I think it's hearing people like us, maybe rightly or wrongly, kind of be so open and willing to process it that might help other people just kinda come to a different place or relationship with it. Something else you said that just kinda sticks with me is that you would just be in the car with the kids. Like
Oh, anywhere. They
yeah.
were happening literally mid conversation with a colleague and they would start my watch would start going off. I mean, it was no holds barred, man. And it just, oh, they were so brutal. And I look back and I'm like, dang, why did I wait so long to go? Like, what was going on? And, I had my heart tested, everything was fine.
Mhm.
So it was 100%, panic attacks. Um, but yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
it was ruthless. It was a really hard time. And I just felt completely like a complete out of body experience. Like, what
Yeah.
is happening?
Mhm.
And it's still, there's so much fear. I have so much fear of like going back to that place. Now I feel like I have the tools and a
Mhm.
little bit, I've put some good tools in place that I feel like
Mhm.
are super helpful, but there's always that fear of getting back to that really dark place of, wow, this
Yeah.
is, this is brutal.
Yeah. Well, and it if you don't mind, like, what are a few of the tools that you found to, like, be, I don't know, your, like, life jackets, like, that are just there that you know that you can kinda pull on, that you either start your day with or that help you if you just need a lifesaver?
Yeah, so I'm a big proponent of meditation, and I used to be one of these people that kind of like rolled my eyes, like,
Mhm.
okay. But once I started practicing it every day, not like in the moment when you're having a panic attack, because
Right.
I've learned that that's not super effective,
Yeah,
but
that'll work.
daily practice of meditation and really tuning into your body, listening to your body, and, making that choice of a thought is just a thought. You don't have to
Mhm.
give so much power to it, and that you can just I've learned to kind of let thoughts pass me by. I still have anxious thoughts all the time, but two things that I think about: if it starts with what if, then it
Mhm.
doesn't serve you. That thought
That was a good
isn't
one.
going to serve you well.
Mhm.
And also too, that every thought doesn't mean that it's real. It doesn't mean that
Mhm.
it's truth. It's just a thought, and you can let it go. The other thing that really helps me if I'm feeling very anxious is just grounding. And
Mm.
there's so many ways that you can do grounding techniques, but just trying to name 5 things that I can hear, 5 things I see, 5 things or going outside and bare feet on the grass, just really
Mhm. That's a good one.
myself and get present and get really focused on what I can control and what's out of my control, letting it be. It's not perfect, but I'm also not experiencing panic attacks. So I feel like there's something to it. And I've
That's right.
been free for 6 months now. So um, something feels right. I'm big on diet and exercise, but I've always
Mhm.
done those. I don't feel like that's necessarily a change that I
Mhm.
made, but I would say meditation and practicing grounding techniques on a daily basis are pretty huge.
Mhm. Yeah, I like what you said about that. Those types of things, it's kind of like trying to start a fire in the rain. It's just
Yeah,
not gonna it's
exactly.
not gonna
It's not gonna
happen.
happen.
Okay? I mean, unless you're Bear Grylls out there, I mean,
Mm-mm,
congratulations, but
not gonna work.
no, it's not. And so it is that kind of daily practice, so that way if you do feel the heat kinda coming on, you're able to manage it more effectively because you've already been using a skill set. So,
Absolutely. It's no different than any other um, problem solving technique that you use. You want to be proactive rather than reactive.
yeah.
And I just see all of these as proactive things that I'm doing to, hopefully keep this from happening again rather
Mhm.
than trying to like fix it on the back end.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that that's it. Being proactive, instead of reactive, or responding instead of reacting.
Yes,
Whatever kind of however you want to reframe it, it's that kind of general behavior that helps to produce a different outcome.
totally
But
agree.
gosh, that whole mom balance thing though, and we've kind of chatted about this, and like we said, it's not about walking steadily on a balance beam. It's much more like being on a teeter totter.
I mean, I felt like it was a juggling act. I mean, I say I felt like it. Things have shifted since I now am a stay-at-home mom, and I,
Hmm.
I feel like I have more balance in general, at least for what I'm trying to achieve. But I mean, I felt like I was always juggling, like with all my feet and hands, and I was dropping balls left and right because we put so much pressure, and society put so much pressure on us. And, we're trying to be the Pinterest mom and the perfect wife and stay in shape and cook good meals, good, healthy meals for your kids, put
Right.
your kids in all the activities, help them with their homework, do all the school fun, like la la la, like it just kept going. And I was melting down, and it was this was kind of like the start of my uh demise, and I don't know what you want to call it. It was
Mm.
kind of the start of really looking at, okay, things have to change.
Mhm.
And it started with this, and over the next 2 years several things have transpired, and I'm sure we will cover lots of those topics
Mhm.
podcast. But yeah, that palm balance, we're all seeking it. We all want to be the best that we can be,
Mhm.
but society would make you believe that we can't achieve it. But I just want my kids to be good kids. I
Mhm.
want to be there for them. I want to have a nice roof over my head,
Right.
like
We're
I
not
pretty
asking for a
basic
lot.
needs. Not asking for a lot, but I don't want to live stressed out all day every day anymore. And you know, that's the goal right now, is to
Hmm.
find real balance and real happiness, and also that human connection that lights me up inside. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what I love, is human connection, and
Hmm.
this is an avenue to do that.
Hmm. Definitely. And just like you said, it is kind of managing all the things as a piece of it and then keeping yourself in as a center focus almost.
Putting
So,
yourself first, which moms never do. You know,
no,
very
ma'am.
rarely
Hmm.
do we put ourselves first, but it is important.
Hmm. Self care is not selfish behavior.
Absolutely not.
No, and it comes in many forms. And
That's
so,
right.
no judgment zone here, too.
No judgment zone at all.
I mean, I'm sure I'll share with you many things that could easily pass into a judgment zone, but hey,
But no judgment.
we're okay. But no, I do appreciate your willingness to share that because, like you said, I think that we just don't talk about it.
No, we don't. And I feel like that's also, I found a lot of times like I could relate to the kids I was working with because
Mm,
I had experienced maybe something similar, nothing, maybe not to the same degree, but I had experienced things. And I was never afraid to say, oh, yeah, I had this or that happen.
yeah.
And I feel like what that is, that human connection of, if
Hmm.
we talk about things, it is really hard to feel connected to other people. If we just gloss over everything, it's really hard to be like, oh, you're just like me. No. um, but we are. We're all so similar. And
Hmm.
we're all kind of, I think, probably striving for similar things and experiencing similar things. And so just, I enjoy connecting with people through
Yeah,
conversation about
y-
the good, the great, and the yucks. I like it
that's
all.
right. That's our theme, folks, the good, the bad, and the yucks, and how we're just navigating and kind of working through all of it. And as you could hear and see with both of us, is we're still just like works in progress with it. But I do agree with you. The moment that I think that we're able to come in touch with ourselves and wherever we're at in life and then be willing to like share it with others, it is just, I don't know, it's one of the best things that can kind of happen, I think.
Certainly.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just actually reflecting whenever you said that. I think there was a moment, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, whenever I never saw myself as being different, like as a type 1 diabetic. And that's something that's just really a part of me and a part of my identity, I think. And I never saw myself as being necessarily different than other people until I was in a group with everybody else that also had my condition. And then I was like, oh, I'm actually abnormal, but around these people, we're our normal. And
Right.
it was just the most. I didn't realize I was alone until I was with people, and then I was like,
Thank you.
I don't know, it was just a very different kind of thing. Like I felt okay,
Yeah.
you know?
You had found your people, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. Like these people have went through the same experiences that I go through every single day, all day long, all night long. And we're all here living in this collective like space together. And that to me was probably one of the most important and greatest things that I was able to find is a community that I could relate
Yeah.
to. Yeah. So
Well, I can't wait to cover that with you at some point. I'm sure we will do an episode on, if you do
yeah.
have a health issue, because we have lots of people
Mhm.
that are, have some sort of health condition, and
Sure.
um, I think that it's important. I mean, that can certainly affect your mental health,
Oh my
and
God.
some of
Yeah.
the tools that you use. I know
Mhm.
you got kind of a concept or a technique
Mhm.
want to
Mhm.
share with us today about the somethings. Was that right?
Yes, we have a new like area that we want to kind of venture in towards. And this whole again, our whole goal with this podcast is to focus on the mental health aspects of just life and living, to normalize it, to share our own kind of tips and suggestions, to have fun. And hopefully this will kind of resonate as a interesting, different kind of reflective exercise, we'll call it, right? Um,
Yeah,
so what we're going to kind of do, and this is a little bit of like a game type of thing, and things are always funner whenever you make it a game, anyways, and it doesn't seem like
absolutely.
work. So that's what I really like. So the purpose of this is to basically teach our own self affirmations to allow ourselves just to kind of be reflective in that moment of a myriad of different some things that can kind of come up within our lives. And, maybe it's something that you want to hold yourself accountable for. Maybe it's something that you're kind of curious about. It doesn't matter, but sometimes just speaking those things not only helps us to remain committed to whatever's going on in our life, but it can also help us just to be more reflective and more present with what's happening in the here and now instead of all this gunk that just gets kind of crowded within things. So, with that being said, I'm going to ask you some questions. Uh,
Okay,
I
let's
know,
do it.
have fun. What is
Mod-
some? I love. What is something that you did last week that you are proud of?
Something last week. I would say last week was the first week I really got back into my routines, but I also am starting to give myself grace when I don't do things perfectly. I tend to be a little bit of a perfectionist about things, or
Mm.
it's kind of like, oh, always been like an all or nothing sort of mentality. And I just said to hell with that last week and gave myself some
Nice.
grace when it wasn't perfect. Um, I also really decided to take myself seriously last week and to go for what I wanted, to make moves towards making dreams realities and
Mm.
committing to myself. And so I'm pretty proud of that.
That's huge. That's really fun.
Right?
God, yeah, that's inspiring. You see how excited I get whenever you say that? It's like, oh shit, this is cool. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I like when you say the hell with it too. Yes,
With
that's
it.
empowerment.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. All right. Okay. What about something that you're still kind of growing in?
Still just really believing in myself. Like I can say, that I believe in myself, but really digging deep. And, I've had lots of accomplishments in life. I know that I can persevere and see things through to the end. But I still doubt myself like anybody else.
Mm.
And so I'm working on this. I'm trying to be more consistent with myself, putting myself first, trying self care, really being mindful of all that I consume in a day. And that's
Mm.
information, nutrition, interactions, all of it, being very mindful about what I'm allowing into my world.
That's cool.
Um,
Hmm.
just still trying to grow in believing in myself.
Yeah. I like what you said, how we're all like a work in progress, but that self-belief and desire is just going to help to kind of steer this train. But also the word consume. What all are you
Oh,
consuming?
yeah. And how it can change your mindset so quickly.
Hmm.
So being very intentional in consuming the things that serve me and kind of lift me up. I think
Mm.
that's
Ooh,
it's the best way to go.
I think I got my word from the year from just what you said. That was
What
the
was it?
assignment. You said intention. I don't do,
Intention.
yeah, I set an intention for like a yoga practice or something, but doing
Sure.
most other things with intention sounds pretty cool.
Right?
Yeah, I like it.
Exactly.
Right. It's the contrary to like flying by the seat of your pants, but I like it. This could turn out cool.
Yeah, right. I don't know.
Right.
Flying your parents has served you well in the past, so
Well, and
yeah.
also bit me in the ass at times too, but we'll get there.
Right? Well,
All right, so something that you're interested in, something that's cool, striking, something that you're just kind of following right now.
interested in. I'm deep in the rabbit hole of the royals right now. I'm currently reading Prince Harry's book, Spare. And every time I say it with like a British accent.
I love it.
Um, but I am deep, deep in the royals right now. I really like him as a person. I know I talk to a lot of people that do not care for him or his wife, Meghan Markle, but I find it all fascinating.
Mm.
I find his book genuine. I love that he is sharing his mental health challenges.
Mhm.
And I really applaud him because he sees the need for mental health to be at the forefront. And, I think we can all go back. I don't know. We're of that generation. Most of us remember when his mom died in that car
Oh,
accident.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
I don't know about you, but I remember waking up and watching the funeral and all the television coverage. And I remember watching those boys walk behind their mom's casket and think, what is
Mm.
going to happen to these boys? How
Mhm.
does this turn out? And I think we're seeing that now.
Mhm.
And I applaud him in so many ways for putting it out there and for being brave enough to, you know, to say that his truth,
Yeah.
which may differ from the rest of his family, but that's his truth. And I find it all so fascinating. And I've never been really into the Royals, but I find his book fascinating.
I love it that you said you're into the Royals.
Totally deep rabbit hole.
And it's a big
He's
one,
the
but it
dive of the crown out of nowhere. I just went deep dive in the crown.
oh, hey, crowns are great. Um, but no, I think that it has a different sense of purpose to it, especially the way that you kind of convey every aspect of his life and what he's willing to share and go through. And that does make somebody intrigued just to hear again somebody breaking down the stigma.
Brutally honest. Yeah.
Yeah. Go for it, bro, you know?
Yeah.
I know, I'm still in that
Bro.
I know. I hear it all the time.
I
So
love it. Bruh.
I don't like it. I should stop right now. Actually, I'm going to make a commitment. No more. Okay. Something that you love and that you want to continue to support.
Something that I love. I mean, you're going to hear me talk a lot about Melissa Wood Health. I totally subscribe to all things Melissa Wood. I do her meditations. She has a platform where she has added a lot of other creators to her platform and so sort of branched out and tried a lot of their guided meditations. I do her workouts. I just kind
Wow.
of subscribe to all her things. She's just amazing. She just got named Sports Illustrated swimsuit model rookie of the year at the age of 40 with two kids, which I just find so empowering and so
Yes.
inspirational. Like
Hmm.
the woman can do no wrong in my book. So I will be preaching her until the day that I
Hmm.
die because I just love what she puts out, her content and how empowering it is,
Hmm.
like go for it. And then I also really like to see people I know achieve things. I get really excited for them.
Hmm.
To I just like to watch people find success and find happiness.
Hmm.
And I love when people share it on social media. I know a lot of
Hmm.
people know social media, but I think it has so many positives, especially when people can get on there and share things they're really proud of or really excited about. And I love that. I love seeing people I went to high school with or college,
Hmm.
people that I just love human connection, any reason to connect with other people. So
Hmm.
I like to support others.
Yeah, and I think you're very genuine about it. Like most people just might be like, "Oh, congrats," but it's for you. It is like that's just you. You're very genuine, proud of, pat somebody on the back, fix their crown so that way it's not crooked,
That's right.
kind of
Really
person.
that didn't make the cheerleading team, but I never
Stop.
stopped cheering for other people.
That's right. Amen.
True
Amen.
story. Sarah made the cheerleading team. I did not. No big deal.
Well,
I'm over it.
over it and still mentioning it. So you wore the shirts. No one knew.
Yeah,
You
nobody
wore
knew
the
the difference. I just wasn't a cheerleader. It's
whatever.
fine. It's fine.
It's all good. Hey, we all found our place.
That's right. I
Right.
didn't peak too soon. Thank God.
God, no doubt. Thank God for both of us. Fine wines here, folks.
That's right. That's right.
Fine
No
wine.
early peaking,
No. Uh-uh.
premature peaking.
No, that's not here. But I do like that. I actually, as you were talking, I got my pen out and I was like, I got to check out this Melissa Wood
Oh yeah,
because,
she's the real deal.
yeah.
She's so relatable. I've listened to her podcast. She has a podcast out called Heart. Highly recommend that. She's just so relatable. Even though you look at her and she looks like a Brazilian model. I mean, she's gorgeous and
Mhm.
tall and beautiful. It has all the things, but so relatable if you listen to her life story.
Yeah.
And I love her. I honestly feel like I'm friends with her and I've never met her, which is a little weird, but here we are. Um, just because I work out with her every day, almost every
Yeah.
day. And, it
Mhm.
just feel like almost like I know her. So I'm manifesting that she's going to be on this podcast with us someday because that would be my dream come true.
That does sound cool. That sounds super cool. And yeah, I'm definitely going to check it out too. And you actually, this is not a question that we had prepped for, but since you said you don't know her but feel like you do, I still have that relationship with Kelly Taylor from 90210. So that's probably not okay, right?
And
She was
besides the
my
fact she was a
girl.
fictional character,
I know.
yes.
She was
I
my
mean, you
girl.
relate. It's fine.
Whatever. She
I
was
was
great.
Team Brenda myself, but that's neither here nor there.
That's hilarious. All right. Something that you're looking forward to. What is it?
I am so looking forward to this podcast. I am so excited to spend time with my middle school bestie, but also I'm just excited to connect with people, to talk mental health, to put it all
Mm-hmm.
out there,
Mm-hmm.
and see what happens. I mean, why not? Why not?
Yeah.
But I think we've got a lot of good stuff to talk about. You've had a long career in clinical psychology. You've got just every time I talk to you, I'm like baffled
Mm-hmm.
because you've such good strategies, and you just get it. And I really am excited for what we'll be able to share with our listeners.
Mm-hmm.
And too, I feel like this is going to be our weekly therapy session.
I love it.
I love therapy. Um, so yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely. And it's so fun. I mean, every aspect of it. I just feel like, I don't know, we've been talking about it for like a few months. We've been doing it now. And I feel like there's been so much individual growth because I get so inspired by you. Like I was even telling you earlier, like I was literally seeing patients earlier today and I was writing a note for the patient to take home as like her practice or just, to kind of, this is your grounding point. And it was things that you've said to me on this podcast that I'm writing out now to my patients like, well, by the way, this is for my best friend and we're doing a podcast. And so, you know, this is also evidence based, but it's a good tip. Here you are. But it's so true that, I think that there's just so much growth that comes from all of this. And, if we're the only two flowers blooming, okay. But I
Yeah,
bet there's a garden. I bet there's a garden out there, folks.
I'm willing to bet there are other midlife moms that are this will resonate with them.
Oh my God, 100%. 100%. So I love it. Well, good job with the somethings. Hey, rock
Thank
star.
you. Thank you.
Rock,
Thank you. I like
rocked it
little
out.
I like anything, I could easily see using those as like journal prompts. It's another thing that I try to do is journal like a couple times a week.
Mm-hmm.
I have like my daily 5, but one of them is journal, podcast, read a book, those types of things. But I could easily those would be great prompts for a
Mm-hmm.
journal, to really just get you thinking about. I also did one I wrote in my journal yesterday. It's kind of like a year in summary from 2024.
Mm.
All the things that happen, to a letter to yourself of all the things that happened in 2023.
Wow.
And you just dream big, I put all my biggest dreams down on paper and
Mm-hmm.
good, like just to put it out there, manifest that.
I love it.
Believer in manifesting what you want. So here's
Mm-hmm. Cheers to that for sure.
to that with my lemon water.
Well, I've got some lemon water and some orange juice and special water, so we're all good here.
I'm fighting a cold over here with a nasty eye infection. So
God bless. God
stick
bless.
to the lemon and honey.
That's it. I hear you. Good stuff. Well, again, hopefully you guys were able to like sit back, enjoy, resonate, but also reflect and relate to what we were talking about today because that's what we're here to do. And Jen, I love you, but I love your willingness to be genuinely who you are 24/7. Oh my God,
That's really kind of you to say. I feel like you bring it out in me. because you're 100% yourself at all times, and I adore that about you. And I just, you bring it out of me. Sometimes I was like, at first when we talked about doing this podcast, I was a little shy about it. And I might do the podcast. And now, like, I'll tell anybody that'll listen because we're going for it. And it could
All the
be
way.
it could be a massive disaster. Um, but you know what? It's so much fun just to do something different. And this doesn't even feel like work. It's just fun.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've always been big on, you can go to trainings, you can learn all the things, but it's how do you apply these techniques to your life, or how do you apply things daily to actually improve your well-being, whether that's your mind, physical well-being. And I think that's so important. You gave the somethings, like that's something that anybody can do. They can put journal on it, call your best friend, ask her the somethings. All of those in the show notes, so that if you want to reflect back on that, you can go back and see exactly what those somethings are. But it's just great conversation starters, whatever, however you want to use it.
Yeah.
But it's something applicable to your life. And that's what we hope to give you, is something each week.
Yes. And I like that we're going to put it now in our newly titled The Show Notes.
That's right. Show notes. I listen to enough podcasts to know that you put things in your show notes.
Yeah. Well,
so that people can reflect back.
Well, that's all going to be on our website, which teaser, we're going to have a banging website that's going to be coming out. It's going to have all of our episodes, so you can kind of go back and listen, reflect, share it with a buddy, with a friend, with a colleague. We're going to have links to different things we found interesting within our field, research, resources. We're also going to have a section for you to write into us. What do you want us to talk about? What do you want to hear? What question do you have for either one of us, or just in general? And we really want this to be super interactive, engaging, informative, and fun. And so that's going to be a big piece of this too. So we're going to give shout outs. Like, both of us are huge proponents of supporting local business, local farms, fun things that we like to do, and hopefully giving you resources so that way that you can find them in your area too. Again, just to continue to build upon healthiness and, loading our mental health.
That's right. Loading it up with all the good things that serve us.
So be sure to check us out, right?
That's right. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at the LYLAS Podcast. LYLAS, Love You Like a Sis. That's on Instagram and on Facebook. And then our website is going to be theLYLASpodcast.com. So that's in development, but it should be coming very soon, but hopefully by the time this episode is released. So check us out. We'll have tons of resources, information, and more to come.
Yes. So be sure to check us out again on all those social media handles, On the Line, or my mom calls it that way. She calls it On the Line, and on the Facebook.
My mom will say, I went out there on. I'm like, you didn't actually go anywhere. But I went out there on Facebook and I saw.
I love it.
They're making fun of us for stuff like that.
God bless. Oh, don't worry. My son was in here helping me out with this Zoom thing earlier. So, back to the accountability. I'm calling out my mom on something, and then my son comes home from college, and I'm like, hey, do you want to Zoom with me? Please. And then he's on the phone with his earbuds in as he's talking to me. Yeah, Bob, it's working. Or no, hold on. Gets off the phone, comes in. Yeah, it's a thing. So I should not be throwing any stones.
No stones. No stones here.
No stones.
All right. Until next time. LYLAS.
LYLAS out.
LYLAS out.